Hello again, everybody, and welcome into the Shelby County High School football pregame show. Alongside Andrew Simonson, I am Alec Etheridge. Andrew live from Montevallo tonight. I am live from Pelham as we got a battle of two county teams. The Pelham Panthers going to host Chelsea tonight to open region play. Andrew, you've got a good one and a special night out there at Montevallo too. So we got plenty to get to on this week's show. 11 total games to talk about. And very limited time to do so, but we're glad to have you on board for the Shelby County High School football pregame show. It's going to be a fun night of action. A little bit of rain coming down right now. Of course, all week it looked like the rain was at first was going to be early in the day, then it was going to be non-existent, and of course we get to Friday and it's raining right at game time, as is usually the case when we try to predict weather around here in the state of Alabama. But it's going to be a nice night. The weather, temperature-wise, the best night of the year that you're going to get probably for high school football, and I expect the rain is going to slack off as well. But welcome in, everybody. Make sure throughout the show that you jump in the comments there. We want to see your comments, predictions, whatever it may be. We're going to pop them up on the screen and make sure as many of those are seen as possible. As you can tell, I'm battling a little bit of a cold, so my voice may crack a little bit, but we're going to have fun with it nonetheless. I'm going to let Andrew do a lot of talking tonight as well. But before we jump in, I want to tell you about one of our big sponsors sponsoring several of the teams on tonight's show. That's 3D Air Services right here in Shelby County. They've proudly called the county home since 2005 and are more than just your trusted HVAC company. They're your neighbors, friends, and supporters. They're proud sponsors of several of our teams right here in Shelby County. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see what they can do for you throughout this high school football season as we go from the warm time of the year to the cold time of the year. Your HVAC services, 3D Air Service is going to take care of all of your needs there. 205-664-3501, 205-664-3501, 3dairservices.com. Jay Carr and his certified crew going to take care of you no matter what your needs are when it comes to your HVAC services. But Andrew, we're going to jump in. We're going to talk about all the games tonight. We're going to start in the AISA, ACSC, work our way up to the two games that we're at tonight, as well as Briarwood Ramsey, our game of the week, which we've got Seth Hagan, one of our good freelancers, out covering that one for us tonight to give us an array of good coverage across the board. But Andrew, let's start in the AISA and ACSC. We're going to work our way up from there. Talk about the three games that we've got there as you look at Evangel and their matchup at Franklin Christian tonight in Tennessee, Coosa Valley at North River, and Cornerstone hosting Meadowview.
Yeah, this Evangel Franklin Christian matchup was an incredible matchup last year at the 8-man level. Now Franklin Christian at the 11-man level. Evangel coming up there to play another 11-man game. And Evangel gotten a decent start in 11-man play so far. Obviously, they will go on to play 8-man the ACSC. But beating Abbeville Christian their first 11-man game and then going on to challenge Banks, ultimately losing that game, snapping a lengthy win streak in the process, one that stretched back all the way to 2021. So really good chance for them to get a bounce back win and make another statement north of the border in Tennessee. I like the Lightning in that one based off of their defense and how they've looked to start the year. And then Cornerstone, just another incredible offensive performance last week, setting a school record for biggest margin of victory as a whole. So big props to them for that. They'll have another chance to put up some big points against the Meadowview team that's struggling. So I really like the Chargers to get one done there in their home opener against Meadowview. And then as for Coosa Valley, looking for a bounce back win, North River is as well. So I think it could be a very interesting matchup. It's one that I tend to tip to the Rebels, but one that I think could be tremendous nonetheless. I think we could get a good battle out there between two teams really trying to figure themselves out, with Coosa Valley getting a little bit of positives in last week's loss.
Yeah, I think that Coosa Valley game is important for them just from the standpoint, if you don't win this one, the rest of the schedule is going to be a lot more difficult. So got to take advantage of the opportunity that you have tonight. A North River team that's sitting at 0-2 right now, lost by a combined score of 126-8 in their first two games of the season. Evangel should be a good game there, taking on Franklin Christian. I think the Lightning going to bounce back from that loss last week with a win. And Cornerstone, the offense, playing lights out right now. They're playing some good football there offensively. Should have another strong night tonight against Meadowview. I think all of our teams win when it comes to AISA and ACSC level. But that takes us into the AHSAA games that we've got set for tonight. And it kicks off region play. This is where the real season begins now. Over the next several weeks, about a month and a half, 2 months, we're going to find out which four teams from each region are going to make the playoffs as those top four teams do get into the postseason. We're going to start tonight, though, with a team that maybe has surprised us a little bit, more so from the offensive standpoint than anything. I'm not necessarily surprised that they're sitting at 2-0, but Shelby County's offense has been unbelievable through the first 2 weeks of the season after struggling mightily last year. Tonight, they get a road trip to Sipsey Valley, and Andrew, they hope to start region play 1-0. And what a story it would be if Shelby County is sitting at 3-0 overall and 1-0 in region play to end tonight.
Absolutely, and they'll have a great opportunity tonight against the Sipsey Valley team coming up from Class 4A. Had a little bit of struggles in their opening 2 games. Definitely presents an opportunity for a red-hot Shelby County team to come in and really cause some damage. This is a team that's been incredible on offense to watch, especially in the run game. They really know how to utilize Devin Alexander, Ryan Sipes as their quarterback in the run game as well, with 3 touchdowns from him last week. I expect them to continue to be the dominant factor of their game, even as they start developing other aspects and get deeper into that playbook as the season goes on. But it's that defense. If those playmakers show up like they did last week, Cooper Pennington, Eli Holloman, I think that this team could go really far and start that in region play with a win tonight.
Yeah, I think the defense is playing such consistent football dating back to last year. To me, the offense and what they've been able to do has been such an impressive improvement so far this year. And not necessarily, I talked about this on the show earlier in the week, it's what they did at the half last week, trailing 14-10 to come out and score 21 unanswered to win that game a week ago. To me, those halftime adjustments are what was key and shows the growth of this team this year. I think that's what we're going to see when it comes to this week's game. I think if you start slow, now all of a sudden that doubt doesn't start to creep in your mind like it used to. You can go into the half and feel like, hey, guys, we're still in this game. We can find the plays that we need to in the second half. We know what we've seen in the first half. Let's adjust and let's accommodate to what we need to do tonight to win this football game. And I think that's what Shelby County is going to do well, especially against this Sipsey Valley team that has struggled a little bit defensively early in the season, giving up 32 and 48 in their first 2 games. So I think you're going to see Shelby County's offense continue to show the improvements that we've seen through the first 2 weeks. But that defense, like you said, remains consistent. At the end of the night, that's going to give the offense the opportunity to be able to score those points and pull away. I think Shelby County is going to walk away with a win, and we're going to have some fun telling that story tonight as the Wildcats have a chance to sit at 3-0 and get off to a 1-0 start in region play. So big opportunity there for the Wildcats on the road at Sipsey Valley tonight. Game also in the county, our game of the week. Not too far from where I'm at here in Pelham, just down 119. That's going to be Briarwood playing host to Ramsey. It's our game of the week for a reason, Andrew, despite both of these teams sitting at 0-2 right now on the season, and that's because it's region play now. These 2 teams typically are teams that are going to compete for a state championship. The last few years, if Briarwood had been a 5A team and not a 6A team, they likely are competing for state championships in the 5A classification alongside Ramsey. Now, the winner of this game, despite sitting at 0-2 on the season through the first 2 games, the winner of this one instantly becomes maybe a favorite to win the region championship and get some confidence going the rest of the way.
Yeah, this is one of those games where you just really want to wipe the slate clean, take the lessons that you learned from those first 2 weeks, 2 really tough tests that they've faced so far this season, each of them. Ramsey taking on both Parker and Clay Chalkville, 2 of the top teams in 6A, and they're a 5A team. And then you have Briarwood playing up to Class 7A Oak Mountain and Class 6A Homewood, both of which have started the season really, really well, especially on offense. So this is going to be an interesting test for both of them. I'm really interested to see particularly how these offenses go. We've seen a little bit of signs of life from Briarwood. Ramsey hasn't really gotten much of a chance to go, but has definitely done some things on that front. But it's the defense for Briarwood that continues to need some improvement after a disappointing first couple of showings. It's one of those ones where I tend to lean towards Ramsey simply because of the talent and experience that they have over on that end. But it's a game of the week for a reason. It could really go either way towards Briarwood or Ramsey.
Yeah, that's the fun of it. That's the beauty of it. Those first 2 weeks, while you're sitting at 0-2, they played such a good team. Both of these teams played great opponents those first 2 weeks to test them and get them prepared for this moment tonight in a region matchup against one another. And when you look at this matchup, they're 2 physical teams historically that want to go after each other, pound the ball offensively, and come at you with a physical nature on the defensive side. with that front seven. And I think we're going to get that tonight. I really do. I think you're going to see Briarwood's defense play its best game of the season so far, and it's going to give them an opportunity to win this football game. Ultimately, on paper right now, Briarwood looks like the better football team from a statistic standpoint, but Ramsey's played two of the best 6A teams in the state this year, literally two of the best teams in the 6A classification. So they're going to be prepared and ready to go for this Briarwood team tonight. Briarwood, on the other hand, has shown some improvements offensively. I know a little sluggish the last couple of weeks, but working in a lot of new players. Defensively, though, I think the second half last week has them ready to compete in this game. Ultimately, I think Ramsey may sneak out a close game, but don't be surprised if this one is a one-score game there in the fourth quarter. Briarwood, though, is going to have to grow up offensively in a hurry to be able to have a chance in this one and moving forward the rest of the way if they want to compete for one of those top two spots for home field advantage out of the region. So a good opportunity for Briarwood tonight to really gain some confidence there in a home matchup against Ramsey. Should be an entertaining battle between those two teams. Calera, they're on the road at Benjamin Russell tonight. Calera sitting at 0-2 right now in the season, but Scott Riles' first year, we're seeing the offense make some big-time plays, Andrew. The concern right now, turnovers and defense. How do they improve enough tonight to be able to compete against a pretty good Benjamin Russell team to be able to start region play 1-0? Can't hear you.
Benjamin Russell, definitely a team that you need to win the turnover battle against. Despite them losing some key players from last year, it's definitely still a dangerous opponent and one that you need to prepare aptly for. And I think that if Calera comes out, plays a cleaner game, they'll be able to make up some of that difference that they've had the first couple of weeks on the scoreboard. But at the end of the day, it does come down to, can this defense get stops and get off the field? It's been a little bit of a porous unit so far, albeit one that's improved by a points per game perspective off of last season, but still allowing way too many points to opponents and allowing too many gaps for them to get into games. So I think that until the defense shows that it's able to consistently get off the field and give the offense something to work with, matchups like these are going to tend to fall towards their opponent's favor. That's kind of why I lean towards Benjamin Russell in this one, simply because I haven't seen that effort from them. But I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of those games where they get a little bit of a get-right game. Start out region play with some momentum, and then we see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, this is both these teams sitting at 0-2 right now overall, but this is a Benjamin Russell team, kind of like we just talked about with Briarwood and Ramsey. They've been battle-tested early in the season, and I think that's such a big key when you go into region play, to play those tough opponents early in the year to get prepared. And I think that's going to be a big difference tonight. I think ultimately that's what gives Benjamin Russell an edge, but I do think this one's going to be your sneaky good game tonight. I would not be surprised with Calera's offense. Now they've got 2 weeks of tape. We've seen them improving offensively already early in the season. Now they can improve, get even better here in week 3 of the season. A.J. Johnson played some great football. If they can minimize the turnovers tonight, I'm not as concerned about the defense. They're going to give up big plays. But if you look at Calera, it comes down to the turnover battle. If they can limit those turnovers, they're going to have a great chance there against Benjamin Russell to pick up a road win to start region play. That's the ultimate difference, in my opinion, is going to be who wins that turnover battle in that matchup. So they're going to have opportunities, just a matter of capitalizing on them offensively throughout that game. The Helena Huskies also on the road tonight at Chilton County. Start with a thrilling win last week as they pick up a 29-28 win over McAdory on the road. A missed field goal there at the end from the Yellow Jackets gives Helena the victory. Not surprised they start with a thriller. Andrew, do you think tonight against Chilton County will be a similar matchup, or do you see Helena pulling away with that one?
I see it being more comfortable simply because Chilton County hasn't really shown a whole lot through the first little bit of the season. Obviously, they're coming in up with the first-year head coach, and this is his first region game. And Helena, while they did have to grind out a win against McAdory, the way that they did it is really encouraging to me. Just continuing to dominate on the ground game and showing those improvements off of where we thought they were going to be coming into the season. I really like this Helena team to be a sneaky good team within 6A Region 3. And this is one of those games that I definitely see them favoring and try to get those yards on the ground and then let the big plays come after that, both on the offensive and defensive sides.
Yeah, I mean, you look at what Helena did last week. They made the big plays when they had to. And ultimately, I think that was the big difference maker when you look at what they were able to do. Obviously, Jeremy Spratling had a good game running the football, but it was really those big plays in the pass game down the stretch that impressed me. When you look at Nate Ferguson getting the ball to Torrey Ward, every time they needed a big play, not a ton of production offensively in the passing game, but when they needed those big plays, they were able to make them happen. And I think that was a big key last week. Obviously, some good fortune went their way as well. But tonight, I think they're going to be able to run the football like they like to with Spratling, with Dominic Santiago. They're going to have too much power there running the football that it's going to be tough for me to see Chilton County staying in that game throughout. But Helena's a team that starts slow a lot of times, and there's no telling what's going to happen there at the halftime break. Could look up and be a much closer game than we expect it to do. But after they struggled last week, Chilton County, with Jemison winning by 1 point, Helena's too talented to make this too close of a game. I think the Huskies should win that one comfortably as well. Got a few more games to talk about before we get to the 2 games that we're at. Let's start, Andrew. Thompson at Tuscaloosa County tonight. Another one. Look at the Warriors. They kind of start to get that momentum offensively last week against Lipscomb Academy on the road. A little bit of a struggle, a sleepy second half there in that game, but ultimately they win it in a 1-score game. So when you look at this week, Tuscaloosa County on the road against a Tuscaloosa County team that struggled early in the season, you got to expect, I think at least, this is going to be maybe Thompson's best performance offensively throughout this entire year. But even with that, the defense should come out and continue to dominate like they have the first 2 weeks as well.
Absolutely. I expect a complete performance from this team, not only because it's a Tuscaloosa County team that's not been very good this season, but because I believe that they're motivated. I think that while obviously Freeman's grateful that they got the win, they're focusing on the negatives from last week and trying to clean all that up. It's a team that's constantly trying to improve itself and find the little things they need to get done, even in 50-0 blowouts. I think that this one will definitely be one that Thompson can get ahead early and start working from there. But I would expect to come out and see some of the things that we did see last week from Thompson, mainly some cleaner plays, a little bit more effort on that side, and then just a continued focus on getting this passing game and running game where they need to be. Because if they have that 2-pronged approach, that gives them something that they didn't have last year when they went on to make the 7A state title game.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we said earlier in the week. We know Coach Freeman well enough at this point that when they win a game, but they don't do it the way they should or win as convincingly as they should, he's going to make sure that we know about it, and he's definitely going to make sure that the team knows about it. And last week, it was just kind of snoozy in the second half. They looked really good in that first half, came out, improved offensively. Defense continued to play lights out. And in that second half, I mean, I felt it too. It just became a very snooze fest of a second half, and Thompson wanted to just basically coast to the win. This week, I think Tuscaloosa County is getting them at the worst possible time because of that. A team that struggled early in the season. I think Thompson's going to come out ready to make a statement tonight. I think their offense is going to play well. Like I said, will probably end up being their best game of the year, and definitely see their defense continuing to show the excitement that they have through the first couple of weeks. I think Thompson's going to walk away with a pretty big win there now, get to 1-0 in region play, 2-1 overall. The Oak Mountain Eagles, Andrew, looking to get to 3-0 tonight. Not a lot of people believed in Oak Mountain this year. Well, Will Odell's quickly changed that opinion with what he's been able to do offensively. More than 870 yards between his arm and his legs through the first 2 weeks of the season. Tonight against Prattville, a lot of people are saying they just hadn't played anybody with a ton of talent yet. And tonight against Prattville, this is going to be their first real test with a lot of athletes on the field, a little bit bigger of a team. And that's where the concern comes into play. But I think that this Oak Mountain team feels that. I think they feel a lot of people still doubting them after their 2-0 start, back-to-back strong offensive performances. And head coach Shane McComb said it last week. Right after that game, we talked. He wasn't happy. Will Odell wasn't happy. This team is motivated. They want to play a perfect game, and they feel like they haven't done that yet. So tonight against Prattville, their chance. Do you think ultimately they can get it done?
Yes, I do, but it's going to be a toss-up. Both of these teams excel very well on offense and have defenses that can really take advantage of this game. I really do think that Will Odell is going to have another phenomenal game, simply because of the momentum that he's rolling in on. Been very good in the run game, but also growing in the pass game with a lot of different weapons. That offense is really going to be the key to victory here, and just continuing to outpace Prattville, even if the defense continues to look like what we saw over the past couple of weeks, which is letting opponents, even with some developing offenses, into the game. So if they can get a couple stops on their end and get some stuff going in their favor, I really do think this offense is equipped to really take advantage of any chance they get.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. They've played sloppy off to a 2-0 start. And so when you look at the things they can improve on, they've got a passing game right now. They've got a quarterback who can run the football. The big thing is no turnovers, play better defensively, and be physical up front on the offensive line. If they can come out and work on all three of those facets tonight and improve on each of them, they're going to have a strong chance to win this game. Ultimately, I think it happens. I think Oak Mountain's going to win this game. I've seen Prattville look good at times, be a little bit inconsistent at times so far early in the season as well. This is a game where Oak Mountain, it's on their home field. They know this is one of those games they can get in the region. There's not many of those opportunities in Class 7A Region 3, but this week they feel like is an opportunity for them. They feel like it's gettable. So they're going to come out, put it all together, and play what I think is going to be a pretty sound game. With a wet night like this, too, is perfect for a running quarterback. As long as he hangs on to that football, then you're going to see Willowdale have another strong performance, in my opinion, in a physical kind of game this week. Andrew, that takes us to our final two games. We're going to start with yours. If you need to go before we jump to the final game, I know you've got a special presentation there. I'll let you go, but let's talk about Montevallo Northside real quick first and get your thoughts on that one.
Yeah, like Alex been alluding to all night, this is going to be a special night here at Montevallo as they honor one of their greatest all-time players, Corey Cunningham, just an amazing person and an amazing athlete, a great two-way star for the Bulldogs who left a major impact on this community, passed away earlier this year. They'll be honoring the former NFL star here tonight with the pregame ceremony that I'll get down to in just a second. But once they get on the field, this is a really good opportunity for the Bulldogs to bounce back after last week's road loss to Sylacauga, a difficult 5A opponent that they faced in the Aggies. And this is going to be a matchup that I really like. Montevallo in Northside coming in, not exactly off of the most hot streak ever, a similar 4A team coming up into 5A as well. But this defense, this Montevallo defense, one of the best in the county last year, proving to be so again this year. They're going to lead the way. They're going to dictate the tone, both up front and in passing coverage. And I really expect them to be aggressive on the ball and provide a lot of space for Rosario Conwell and this offensive line to take advantage and get those hard yards on the ground.
Yeah, and we look at last week. I know they lose 15-7, but I was really impressed with how they handled that game defensively against a Sylacauga team that's got bigger numbers than them. So if that defense comes out and plays well tonight, they're giving up to 7.5 points per game, whereas you look at Northside giving up 20 points per game. I think Montevallo's offense and Rosario Conwell get back to what we saw in week 1. They score some points, but the defense going to do a solid job there as well. So I think Montevallo is going to be a big night for the Bulldogs, a special night, like you said, and I think they walk away with that win, start region play 1-0. But, Andrew, that takes us to Pelham Chelsea. Let's get your quick thoughts on this one. Going to take place right here on the field behind me. Rain still slightly coming down, starting to slack off, though. So it should be, with this wet field, a night like this, a good county battle. 2-0 Pelham team, or 2-0 Chelsea team coming into this matchup. First time since 2016 they've been in that situation. An 0-2 Pelham team on the opposite end of the spectrum. But you wipe it all clean. This is the start of region play. Andrew, who gets it done tonight and starts that trek toward a possible playoff spot?
I think Chelsea does for the reasons you just alluded to. It's some wet weather. Wet weather usually provides a good environment for running backs to take over. And I think I've seen a lot from Case Racner in this offensive line that they're going to get it done, take it to this Pelham defense, and really get some stuff going that way while the Chelsea defense continues to do what it's done over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, standing outside the Chelsea locker room right now, kind of like the Hornets that were following me around on the show earlier this week. I feel like if I don't go with Chelsea, it's probably not going to end well for me. But just like you said, Chelsea's running attack has been strong through the first couple of weeks. They've been able to make the plays when they need to. I think that's going to be enough tonight against a Pelham team that's young. They're smaller right now. They've got athletes, but this team's probably a year or two away from forming everything into shape where they need to be. I think Chelsea's defense is going to come out and play another tremendous football game. They've been dominant through the first 2 weeks of the season, giving up 8.5 points total per game through the first couple of weeks. A 24-3 win over Mobile Christian, 15-14 last week against Wetumpka. The offense is going to have to progress. They're going to have to make some bigger plays offensively, but we've seen that the first couple of weeks. the offenses that have faced Pelham have had some success. So Pelham's going to have answers here in this one for a good opportunity to be able to pick up a win. And I think the big thing when you look at Pelham is just finding that offensive success. Whether it's Caleb Porter, whoever it's going to be on the offensive side of the football, running the ball is going to be key. Sustained long drives are going to be key, and not turning the football over. They've shown flashes of that at times. They're going to have to put it all together because you can't leave your defense on the field the entire game against a physical Chelsea team like they've got this year. So I think that's going to be a big key for Pelham tonight. Sustain drives offensively, give that defense some rest and some time to adjust, and you're going to have a chance. Ultimately, I do think this is a close one. I do think this is a close football game simply because Chelsea offensively still needs to show that growth too. I think you're going to see Pelham with a chance in the second half in this football game. And then it's ultimately at the halftime break who makes the better adjustments and is ready to go there in the second half. Any closing thoughts, Andrew? I don't know if we've left anything out or not, but any closing thoughts before you head down to get coverage for that Montevallo game, that special ceremony?
Well, if this weather persists at all, it's going to be something really interesting to see. These teams haven't really gotten a chance to battle the elements so far, and it usually produces a different breed of football between the teams that take part in it. So I'll be interested to see that if it happens. But overall, great night for football. Looking forward to seeing some teams make some statements to open region play.
Yeah, and I'll pull Jamaica's comment back up there. Let's go Panthers for the W, defy all odds. And that's the theme. You want to win a football game, sometimes you got to defy the odds, and you play with a chip on your shoulder. There's no telling what can happen. Pelham's on their home field tonight. Should be a lot of fun here in a county rivalry to kick off region play, and that's exactly what it is, the opening night of region play right here in Shelby County. I want to thank all of our sponsors. Scooters Coffee, who's sponsoring the Spain Park Jaguars this year, obviously off. They take down Hoover last week in a thrilling game. So congrats to the Jags. Make sure you visit Scooters right there in Inverness and also the Chelsea location there on Highway 280. That great fall menu out right now. 3D Air Services, once again, give Jay Carr a call. HVAC system, whatever it may be, 205-664-3501, 3dairservices.com. Montevallo Main Street, just down the road from where Andrew is right now. Make sure to visit them. They've got a ton of local business that you want to support throughout the high school football season, whether it's food, retail, whatever it may be, and Consign Design and Bertoloni's as well. Bertoloni's sponsoring our SCR Stars of the Week throughout this season. We'll get to talk about them and our new stars from the first week of region play on Monday's Shelby County Football Show. So be on the lookout for that. But thanks to Bertoloni's right there in Calera off I-65 for their sponsorship this year as well. And Consign Design in Alabaster sponsoring the Helena Huskies and several of our teams this year. Make sure to visit them, 72 Fulton Springs, right there in Alabaster, for all of your game day needs, any consignment items that you may need. They're going to take care of you throughout the high school football season. So thank you to all of our sponsors. Thank you to all of you for tuning in. Andrew's gone. He's covering Montevallo, special ceremony there for Corey Cunningham tonight. I've got your updates right here from Pelham High School as the Chelsea Hornets look to improve to 3-0, 1-0 in region play, and the Pelham Panthers looking to win their first game of the season, and it would be a big one to start region play 1-0 and get some confidence. 11 total games on tap for you tonight right here in Shelby County. We're going to have you updated on X. Make sure you follow along at Alec Etheridge SC, at Andrew T. Simonson. We're going to have all your updates there throughout the night. And then also on Facebook, Twitter, ShelbyCountyReporter.com. After the game, all your photos, all your stories, everything you need to get caught up from a big night of high school football action in the opening night of region play at that. So plenty of fun ahead tonight. We'll talk about it all after the game's in tonight, and then see you next week for the Shelby County High School Football Show. But thank you again, everyone, to tuning in, and thank you again to our kind sponsors there. We'll see you next week. Thank you all, and enjoy your Football Friday night.